In this module, we will learn about the revision of demand by Hicks and the choice involving risk. Hicks presented his demand theory in his work Value and Capital. He revised his demand theory and brought out a book, A Revision of Demand Theory, in 1956. The main reason behind the revision of demand theory by Hicks is the emergence of revealed preference approach by Samuelson, the rise in the econometric analysis, mathematical theories of weak and strong ordering, and the discovery of more recent derivation of demand from a few simple propositions of logic. Hicks was influenced by the revealed preference approach and the logic of strong ordering by Samuelson and his followers, that is, Arrow, Little and Houseker. To quote Hicks, "All this I owe to Samuelson and the Samuelsonians, though I can hardly count myself of their numbers, since I retain a considerable skepticism about the revealed preference approach." Hicks, in his A Revision of Demand Theory, again rejects the concept of hypothesis of independent utilities and cardinal utility. He still assumed utility to be purely ordinal. Hicks, who popularized the use of indifference curve in demand theory, has given them up in his revision of demand theory. In his book, he has explained all the concepts without the usage of indifference curve, though there are positions which are equally preferred by the consumers. He also explained the concept of consumer surplus without using the indifference curve. He explained the disadvantages of the indifference curve techniques. First, he points out that graphical method of indifference curve analysis is fully effective and useful for representing the cases where there are only two goods which are involved. When the indifference curve analysis is extended towards three commodity case, complicated three-dimensional diagrams need to be plotted. The situation becomes more difficult when the analysis is extended to more than three commodities. The second disadvantage of indifference curve is that it focuses us to make assumption of continuity. Hicks gave up this assumption in his revision of demand theory. To quote Hicks, "The consideration which decides me to favor of the new method, at least as an essential complement to the old, if not as a substitute, is its greater effectiveness in clarifying the nature of the preference hypothesis itself."
After studying this module, you shall be able to know the concept of demand theory, understand how this revised theory is different from old theory, know the direct consistency test, understand how Samuelson findings are different from Hicks, know the difference between strong and weak preferences, know the concept of choice under risk and uncertainty. First, we shall discuss the preference hypothesis and logic of ordering. Hicks assumes preference hypothesis as a principle which governs the behavior of ideal consumer. The behavior according to scale of preferences is known as preference hypothesis. According to Hicks, the ideal consumer chooses that alternative which he prefers most out of the various alternatives open to him. The ideal consumer is affected only by the current market condition. We have seen under demand theory that was presented by Hicks under value and capital was also based upon the preference hypothesis, but under value and capital, scale of preferences was given in the form of set of indifference curves, but indifference curve analysis was given up because of its disadvantages in revision of demand theory. Hicks, in revision of demand theory, started from the logic of ordering itself rather than its geometric application. According to him, the demand theory, which is based on preference hypothesis, turns out to be an economic application of the logical theory of ordering. Before proceeding for derivation of demand theory using preference hypothesis, Hicks explained the logic of order. Let us proceed with the logic of order by first explaining the difference between strong and weak ordering and then followed by demand theory based on weak ordering. Strong ordering. A set of items is strongly ordered if each item has a place of its own in the order and each item could then be given a number, and to each number there would be one item and only one item which would correspond. Weak ordering. A set of items is weakly ordered if the items are clustered into groups but none of the items within a group can be put ahead of the others. Thus, a weak ordering consists of a division into groups in which sequence of groups is strongly ordered but in which there is no ordering within the groups. We have seen that consumer is indifferent on an indifference curve as all the points lying on it give same level of satisfaction. It implies that indifference curve shows weak ordering as all the points lying on it are giving same level of satisfaction and hence occupy same place in the order. On the other hand, revealed preference approach shows strong ordering as it assumes that any chosen combination reveals its preference for it over all the available alternative combinations. Weak ordering implies that the consumer chooses a combination and rejects all other alternatives open to him, then the rejected combinations need not to be inferior to the position actually chosen but may have been indifferent to it. The strong and weak ordering is shown in the figure. In figure, commodity X is an individual good and is measured on X axis, and commodity Y, that is money, is a composite good representing all goods and services other than commodity X. Given the income and the price of commodity X and Y, the price income situation of ideal consumer is shown by line DD. Consumer can choose any combination on line DD or inside the triangle ODD. The actual choice of the consumer is shown by the point A. Hicks criticized the logic of strong ordering on the basis of two grounds. First, the strong ordering form under Samuelson's version of the preference hypothesis, it cannot be assumed that all the geometrical points which lies within or on the price income line represent effective alternatives. A two-dimension continuum point cannot be strongly ordered. Second, but the situation is entirely different in the real world because of the use of money. Thus, in making a choice between commodity, which is available in discrete units, and the divisible commodity money, the strong ordering has to be given up. We now move on to the discussion of logic of weak ordering. Hicks has used weak ordering hypothesis in his demand theory. To quote Hicks, if the consumer scale of preferences is weakly ordered, then his choice of a particular position A does not reveal that A is preferred to any rejected combination within and on the triangle ODD. All that is shown is that there is no rejected position which is preferred to A. It is perfectly possible that some rejected position may be indifferent to A. The choice of A instead of that rejected position is then a matter of chance. There is a possibility that some rejected combinations may be indifferent to the chosen bundle. If this weak ordering hypothesis is adopted, then with this little information, the demand theory cannot be derived. Hicks introduced an additional hypothesis along with weak ordering hypothesis so as to derive the basic proposition of demand theory. Under the additional hypothesis, the consumer will always prefer a large amount of money to a smaller amount of money, provided that the amount of good X at his disposal remains unchanged. Let us now discuss the direct consistency test. According to Hicks, this consistency test is known as direct consistency test. The term direct consistency is the economic expression of the two-term consistency condition on the theory of logic of order. Hicks had proved the hypothesis not for the consistency of the consumer choices, but for the inconsistency as well. As before, there are assumed to be two commodities, commodity X and commodity Y, which is money. The alternative combinations that are available to the consumer are represented by the points on or under the triangle ODD. The point A shows the actually chosen combination. The strong and weakly preferences are same as we have studied in the last section. Now, let us take a new situation, that is, a new price income situation. The alternative combinations that are available to the consumer is represented by the points on or under the triangle shown by new price income line. Suppose B is the actually chosen combination in this new price income situation. We have also assumed that consumer is acting according to the unchanged scale of preferences in both situations, new and old. The preferences of the consumer in both situations must be consistent with each other. The consumer behavior is said to be inconsistent if he reveals his preference for combination A over combination B in A situation, while in situation B he prefers combination B over combination A when both combination A and B are available to the consumer in both situations. But under weak preference hypothesis, the possibility of indifference has to be taken into account. Next, we shall understand the derivation of law of demand through logical weak ordering approach. Hicks developed his revised theory of demand on the basis of weak preference ordering along with additional hypothesis and the direct consistency test. He initially derives the theory of demand for a single commodity. In the derivation of a single commodity, the consumer is confronted with a market situation where there is a change in the price of one commodity only, keeping the prices of other goods constant. He derived the law of demand by decomposing the price effect into substitution effect and income effect. Hicks has used two methods to separate the substitution effect from income effect. First, the method of compensating variation, and second is the method of cost difference. Let us proceed with the derivation of law of demand by the method of compensating variation. Let us suppose that there are two commodities, commodity X and composite good commodity Y. Commodity X is measured on X axis and commodity Y on the Y axis. Given the price of the commodity and income of the consumer, the price income line, is shown as CE. The chosen combination by consumer on price income line CE is A. Suppose that there is a reduction in the price of commodity X with no change in the money income. As a result of this reduction in price of commodity X, the price income line would pivot to right to CD. The vertical intercept would not change as there is no change in commodity Y. Now consumer would choose a combination on this new price income line. The consistency test reveals that as long as the quantity of commodity X is consumed, any combination on the line CD must be preferred to combination A. In other words, it does not matter whether the new combination B on the line CD lies to the right of A or to the left of A or exactly above A, it would be preferred to A. This happens because combination A lies within the triangle OCD. When combination B lies to the right of A, it means that quantity demanded of good X rises due to the fall in its price. And if the combination B lies exactly above the combination A, then the quantity if the fall in the price of commodity X is associated with a reduction in income, then with the help of consistency test, it can be shown that the quantity demanded of commodity X remains same or must rise, but it cannot fall. The price effect is decomposed into substitution effect and income effect. The residual change in price effect is explained by the income effect. The income effect of a change in the price of commodity X can also be explained with the help of consistency test. In order to show the influence of substitution effect on the demand for a commodity, we have to make suitable reduction in income along with the fall in the price of commodity X. The movement from A to B represents the price effect. In order to separate the substitution effect, income has to be reduced by the compensating variation. Income of the consumer is reduced such that he chooses combination T at a lower price. At this lower price and lower income, this combination is indifferent to combination A. The substitution effect measures the effect of the change in relative prices with real income constant. On the other hand, income effect measures the effect of the changes in the real income. It is shown in figure when the income is reduced by compensating variation, the new price income line GH intersects the CE line below the combination A. On the new price income line GH, the actual chosen combination is T. The movement from A to T represents the substitution effect and would result in the increase in the quantity demanded of commodity X. Let us see the income effect now. Let the money that has been taken away from the consumer is restored to him. With this increase in income, whether the consumer will buy more of commodity X or less at T cannot be explained with the help of consistency test. But empirical evidence shows that in most of the cases, the consumption of a commodity increases with the rise in income. Thus, let us see the income effect now. Let the money that has been taken away from the consumer is restored to him. with this increase in income, whether the consumer will buy more of commodity X or less at T cannot be explained with the help of consistency test. But empirical evidence shows that in most of the cases, the consumption of a commodity increases with the rise in income. Thus, when consumer is at combination A and his income is increased by the amount that had been taken away from him, he will still increase his consumption of good X. That's why the combination B lies to the right of T. The movement from combination T to B shows the income effect. To sum up, the demand for a commodity increases with the fall in price due to both substitution and income effect. It is proved that law of demand holds, that is, there exists a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. We now study the choice involving risk and uncertainty. Decision or choice theory in economics is concerned with identifying the values, uncertainties, and other issues relevant in a given decision, its rationality, and the resulting optimal decision. It is closely related to the field of game theory. Decision theory is concerned with the choices of individual agents, whereas game theory is concerned with the interactions of agents whose decisions affect each other. This area represents the heart of decision theory. The idea of expected value is that when faced with a number of actions, each of which could give rise to more than one possible outcome with different probabilities, the rational procedure is to identify all possible outcomes, determine their values, which could be positive or negative, and the probabilities that will result from each course of action and multiply the two to give an expected value. The action to be chosen should be the one that gives rise to the highest total expected value. In 1738, Daniel Bernoulli published an influential paper entitled Exposition of a New Theory on the Measurement of Risk, in which he uses the St. Petersburg paradox to show that expected value theory must be normatively wrong. He also gives an example in which a Dutch merchant is trying to decide whether to insure a cargo being sent from Amsterdam to St. Petersburg in winter when it is known that there is a 5% chance that the ship and cargo will be lost. In his solution, he defines a utility function and computes the expected utility rather than expected financial value. In the 20th century, interest was reignited by Abraham Walt's 1939 paper pointing out that the two central procedures of sampling distribution based statistical theory, namely hypothesis testing and parameter estimation, are special cases of the general decision problem. Walt's paper renewed and synthesized many concepts of statistical theory, including the loss functions, risk functions, admissible decision rules, antecedent distributions, Bayesian procedures, and minimax procedures. Von Neumann's theory of expected utility proved that expected utility maximization followed from the basic postulates about rational behavior. The work of Maurice Alias and Daniel Ellsberg showed that human behavior has systematic and sometimes important departures from expected utility maximization. the prospect theory of Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky renewed the empirical study of economic behavior with less emphasis on rationality presuppositions. Castagnoli and Licalzi in 1996, Bordley and Licalzi 2000 recently showed that maximizing the expected utility is mathematically equivalent to maximizing the probability that the uncertain consequences of a decision are preferable to an uncertain benchmark. This reinterpretation relates to the psychological work suggesting that individuals have fuzzy aspiration levels, which may vary from choice context to choice context. Hence, it shifts the focus from utility to the individual's uncertain reference point. Pascal's wager is a classic example of a choice under uncertainty.
Let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. Hicks presented his demand theory in his work Value and Capital. He revised his demand theory and brought up a new book, namely a revision of demand theory in 1956. The main reason behind the revision of demand theory by Hicks is the emergence of revealed preference approach by Samuelson, rise in the econometric analysis, mathematical theories of weak and strong ordering, and the discovery of more reasoned derivation of demand from a new and few simple proposition of logic. Hicks was influenced by the revealed preference approach and the logic of strong ordering by Samuelson and his follower, that is Arrow, Little and Houthecker. To quote Hicks, "All this I owe to Samuelson and the Samuelsonians, though I can hardly count myself of their number, since I retain a considerable skepticism about the revealed preference approach."